My 40 male ex-wife, 40 female, wants me to be with her in her last days.
Interesting.
So, backstory. I met my ex when we were both 10. She was/is my twin sister's best friend.
Oh.
And we've always been kind of a trio growing up. We started dating at 14, got married at 23. Things got ugly though, because 5 years after getting married, she told me she had a month-long affair with her coworker. Apparently the guilt was too much for her, so she confessed. We tried to work through it, but after a few months of trying, I knew that despite the fact that I loved her, I couldn't trust her anymore.
Okay.
She told me she still loved me, that she'd wait for me, and prove that I was the only one. I wanted to believe her, but some things just can't be fixed. We never had kids. 3 years after the divorce, I met my now wife, 38 female, and we got married 2 years after dating. She's everything I could ever dream of in a wife and more. My ex, as my sister told me, they're still besties, has never really recovered. She quit her job and is now working in a church. Throughout my relationship with my wife, she kept trying to get back together. And on the day of the wedding, she told me she still loved me and would love no one else.
That's crazy that you're doing that. And they want to talk about how men destroy relationships and they'll do anything and everything that they need to. This woman cheated. They left, they separated. And instead of leaving it like that, she knew that that man had another lady in his life. So much so that he was going to get married to her. Oh, he don't love her. He could still love me. He's just doing this to hurt me or whatever it is. These modern women always think that they're the main character in everybody else's story. They always think they're more important than they actually are. And unfortunately for you, you're not. This man has a life and is trying to build a life and move on with somebody else. And you decide that you're going to try to step in the middle of that. That's crazy.
She said this was the last time she would bother me, but that she'd wait for me however long it took. Apparently, she's honest in that regard, at least, because my sister says she's never been with anyone since.
So?
Dang, that's kind of sad.
Yeah. So here's what happened.
It's not. It's not sad. She was out here making decisions. And then it's not conniving, but it's like a low-key attempt in order to win your love and your affection. Knowing, it'd be one thing if you didn't know that he was in a relationship, but it's an attempt at turning his gaze back to you and focusing on you, trying to repair something that took him a little while to get over, and he moved on. And now you're trying to say, hey, look at me. And modern women always talk about how men spin the block, how they always come in when you're almost healed and ruin your life. But here you are coming back in when he has moved on, found somebody else, and it seems like you're trying to ruin his life again. But you don't see it that way. You just see it as, I'm trying to restore love.
Recently, my wife and I, married for 7 years now, have 2 kids, 7 female and 3 male. My sister came over with her kids so the cousins could play. While my wife was out to pick up lunch, my sister sat me down and told me the situation about my ex.
I knew she was going to do it. I knew she was going to come over there with that foolishness. And the sister is in on this foolishness. You walk into my house when we're playing, when we got our kids playing. You walk into my house with this foolishness. Why? For what? Why do you keep on telling me about somebody that's not in my life no more? Why?
Apparently, she only has less than 6 months left to live. She refused treatment and wants to live the last few months to the fullest. I guess that's why her and my sister really went out of their way to travel despite the pandemic. One thing on her bucket list, though, was that she wanted to feel like my wife again. No sex, no kissing, just wanted me to be around the house.
No.
She still lives in the house we lived in, and maybe hold her from time to time.
No.
I told her I wouldn't do that because that was pretty much emotionally cheating.
It is.
My sister kept arguing and begging me to at least see her and hear her out. No screaming. The kids were in the next room with her oldest daughter till my wife came back. My sister told her the whole story. While she looked upset, she said she understood where my ex was coming from. When my sister left, my wife and I talked about it. My wife knows everything that happened in the past with my ex. She says that while she isn't thrilled about the idea, she won't get upset if I decided to see her on a regular basis. My wife is literally the best thing that has ever happened to me, and I love her more than anyone.
And you should honor. She
makes me happy.
And you should honor her for that. You should honor her for that. If she's the best person, you should honor her for that. Hey, I heard that, you don't have that long, that's a phone call. If you want to travel down there, hey, I just came to see you. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay long because of wife and kids, but, you know, I thought we'd take the day to hang out for a little while. And I know there are some things that you said and you requested. I don't know if I can do those because, like once I said, well, I do have a wife, but, you know, if you want to talk and just hang out as friends and things of that nature, then we can do all that minus the romantic stuff if that's what you want to do. But this is absolutely crossing a boundary. And because you are in the final stages of your life, God rest your soul, then that for some reason makes some of these people, and I won't just put it on women, some of these people think that this is like a Make-A-Wish foundation where you can request almost quite literally anything and it happens. No, ma'am. No, sir. I'll throw men in there. This is out of bounds. This is outside of what actually needs to be happening.
Happier than I have ever been in my life, even in the good times with my ex. She knows
Let me tell you something. You're going to go ahead and pass away in peace, having gotten whatever you wanted. But that man still has to go home. And that woman, his wife, might resent him, even though she said, "Oh, you know, I really don't want you to." But like, if that's what you feel you need to do, she don't want that man going over there. She said it in the first place. But because you want it, you're going to push on it. You're going to press him. Oh, I really want this for myself.
I won't cheat. I have zero romantic feelings for my ex. So there's nothing lingering there. Right. I don't hate her or anything. It's just that love that I had for her has long since died. After thinking about it for a while, I'm honestly 50-50 about it. I know I don't owe her anything, but I feel like I might regret not seeing her at least one more time, since the last time I saw her was on my wedding day, and that wasn't a good encounter for either of us. Unless you count the times I occasionally see her at the store or something. I honestly feel like despite what she did, she still deserves to go with some peace. On the other hand, I'm not entirely sure that it might potentially affect our marriage. My wife says she's okay with it, and I believe her, but I can't be sure that she'll feel the same way after it happens. I don't want anything to jeopardize what I have right now. I'm not thrilled about going myself, to be honest.
Don't go.
Any advice? What should I do? And then there's an update. Yeah.
Don't go.
Okay, so update, quick recap. My ex-wife, who I've known since I was 10, cheated on me, but now is dying and wants me to be around before she dies.
Okay.
It's been almost 3 weeks since I posted, and a lot has happened since. I got some solid advice from a lot of you guys, especially some who messaged me from their personal experiences, and I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So here's what happened.
Okay.
As many of you guys suggested, I talked to my wife. We had a long discussion about the whole situation, and I assured her that no matter what, she is and always will be my first priority.
All right.
I always assured her that while I wanted to say my goodbyes, I would never act like her husband. It would be more like seeing a childhood friend or something like that.
Okay.
I also told her I would never spend the night, nor would I be alone with her.
Okay.
She was more comfortable after our talk and was pretty okay with the idea with me seeing my ex again. As you guys guessed, she really felt like she was forced into being okay with it when my sister asked, but this time she really was okay.
Yep.
So I talked to my sister, and after a long heated discussion about what my role would be in the visit, she agreed to the boundaries my wife.
So your sister's having a problem with the boundaries too, is what it is. Both of them are in cahoots, and you need to sit your sister down and say, because there ain't gonna be no heated discussion. I got a family. Now, your childhood friend decided to do what she did. For whatever reason, she decided to do it. And now she's in a position to where we not together. And unfortunately for her, God, again, rest in peace. She's requesting something that because of my commitment that I made over here, I intend to keep. I'm not going to do it. So you're not going to be out here. Oh, brother, you know she's dying. Shut. No, ma'am. We're not going to be doing that. You can take your kids, yourself, get back in that Honda Civic and get on down the road. Period. Go on back to where you came from. If you want to stop on the way and get some Chick-fil-A so you can make yourself feel a little better and get some chicken noodle soup just to warm the heart, good for the soul, you can do all of that. But you're not about to walk in here and have me hollering, hot, upset, because of your foolishness, because you didn't heard her. Oh man, this is such a beautiful story to reconnect. And no, let me tell you what you're doing. Let me tell you what you're doing. You think it's okay. You think it's okay, is what you think. You think it's okay for me to go down there. Oh man, she's dying, so it's not like a real relationship. That's what you think. You think it's okay for me essentially to step out on my wife. Oh man, she just want you to come over there and hold her, and maybe if y'all kiss and it just be like a final kiss, and you'll always have your wife. She's always going to be here, but this will be like a closing chapter, and it'll give her peace, and then she can sail into the rest of her life having understood that there was some love there and there's some type of redemption. The redemption is I'm not cussing you out every day. The redemption is I don't really have anything else to do with you. Hey, listen, I know you did me wrong, but no hard feelings. I got my wife and my kids, and we live in life. I wish you the same. I hope for you the best. Now, whether you decide to find somebody else, that's your business. Whether you decide to stay single because you thinking that something else ain't going to work out between me and my wife and my kids, that'll be your business. But I'm not going to get involved in your little charade and your scheme where you thinking that you about to, oh man, just do a little bit here and a little bit there. No, I don't want to. There ain't going to be no heated discussion. You can leave. You can leave.
Wife and I said. A week later, my sister and I came over to our old marital home. It was surreal because the emotions from way back came back to me. I didn't feel any sadness nor hatred or anything negative. I saw my ex who was waiting for us in the living room, and she cried when I walked in. Most of you suggested she was faking it, but while she was still strong, you could tell almost immediately something was wrong with her.
Yep.
I indulged her with a hug and talked to her for a few hours while my sister made lunch. I showed her pictures of my kids. I told her stories about what they're like. And honestly, I didn't know how I would react after I saw her again, but it just feels like seeing an old friend you haven't seen in a long time.
Good for
There
you.
was no hate or anything like that.
Good for
I walked
you.
around the house and it was pretty much the way it was when I left over a decade ago. I'm not really sure how I feel about our wedding photos still framed and pictures of us still around the house, but it wasn't really my place to say anything. The three of us had lunch and played board.
Hanging on to the past. That's what I'm saying. Like this ain't nothing but another movie is all it is. Another rom-com on Hulu. Another rom-com on Netflix. That at the end of the visit, I want to share a passionate kiss, a deep, warm embrace, look into my eyes, we rub noses together, and we close our eyes and softly sigh. And I write a novel about it at the end of it. That's what you're looking for. I'm not going to be able to give that to you.
Board games all afternoon, and honestly felt like back when we were kids and the three of us would hang out together. It was nice. I left at around 6. She was sad, but she understood. When I hugged her goodbye, she whispered, "I love you," to me, but then said how she's happy I was able to find the happiness she couldn't give me.
Appreciate
That
that.
part got to me, to be honest. I was fighting back tears. I told her I'd see her again, and she asked if I could bring my kids next time. I told her I would, and I left to pick up dinner for my family. I told my wife everything that happened, and she was quite happy about the outcome. I guess it helped that I brought her home her favorite food, but she also agreed to let me bring the kids next time. Overall, it was a great experience seeing her again. I feel like I needed it, and I would have regretted not doing so. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who gave me advice. Also, please don't roast my ex too much. She made a mistake and paid the price for it, but it doesn't mean she's an evil person. This
Right.
will be my last update. Thank you so much, Reddit.
Like I said, rest in peace to the young lady, right? I think that would be for some people. Some people wouldn't even allow that. But from others that they're okay with that, I think you found some common ground where you say, well, no, I can't do that. I can't do all of that hugging and holding and hanging out and spending the night. I got a family. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be a part of some romance novel where we're kissing passionately in the cold winter night while I hold your hand and we slowly draw back and our gazes one last time as you get into your car and leave. I'm not going to be a part of that. But what I can do is help you in whatever way I can. I'll let you see my kids. yeah, this is Johnny, this is Janice right here. And, my wife is obviously she's back at home. She had to work. But yeah, hey kids, this is where I used to stay at, da 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 da. Wedding photos would still be weird, but I understand that's what some people would do. You see, I think it was Tia Mowry. She still had, even though after the divorce and all that other stuff, she still had photos, wedding photos of her and her ex at this point in time. I thought last time I read something, she was trying to get back together with him and stuff like that and trying to work stuff out. But yeah, this is what happens. I don't think she's a bad person, but boundaries. I love that you set boundaries and made it to where, okay, I can come see you and I will, just to try to honor you and help you out and not leave you stranded. But I'm not going to go above and beyond. There were women in the comments that were saying he's a better person than me. If I found out after about a decade of being broken up with, that's still how they felt, I would have said, heck no. Somebody else said, no, that will ruin a relationship. The ex had her chance. Don't risk it. Jess Rainsford said, absolutely don't. If your wife is the most important person, then remain loyal by having nothing to do with this ex. And another woman, definitely don't do it. Your ex made her bed and your wife is first priority now. Don't do something you wouldn't like done to you. I feel that. Don't do something you wouldn't like done to you. Well, they've spoken, but he's already made a decision, so it is what it is.
Something I notoriously say is that men never lie when it counts. And I'm reminded of this every time I'm on a date with a guy and I'm like, oh, who's your celebrity crush? And they say something like, Dua Lipa. It's like, sir, what am I doing here? I don't have a single feature in common with that.
Why are you asking this question on a date? Aren't you trying to find something in common with everybody else instead of trying to make them your op?
Woman. So naturally, I'll be like, oh, any others? And they'll be like, Ana de Armas. Nope. I remember one guy was like, oh yeah, Rihanna. I was like, we're getting colder. Because what you're really supposed to do is if you want to date the person sitting across from you, you have to say someone of their general coloring and likeness. That's it. Because if not, it's kind of the equivalent of being on a job interview for something in finance and them asking you where you want to be in 5 years and you being like, I don't know, in the NBA? Sir, the NBA doesn't want you and neither does Dua Lipa. So the least you could do is just entertain the ego of the person sitting across from you, okay?
No, I'm not going to entertain that. You see how stupid that sounds? I'm not going to entertain that foolishness. This is why modern women can't find, where are the good men at? How come I can't find a good man? Because you ask stupid questions like this. This has nothing to do with what you need to be asking about. Number one. Number two, there was a woman in the comments saying, I disagree with what you're talking about. My celebrity crush is Simone Biles. And my husband... She said, and my husband looks nothing like her. She went on to say that people have a wide variety of taste. So it suffices to say, just because somebody says, man, I really like the look of this person, the aesthetic of this person, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not their type. They're sitting in front of you. They're sitting across from you. I think honestly and truly, you can find a better conversation to have. But if this is what you're talking about, if these are the questions that you're talking about on first dates or whatever and whatnot, I don't see how you're going to be successful in the long run.